exciting updates to Premiere that just got posted onto the Adobe blog. You can check out all of these links that we talk about in the show right on the Raindrop. The Raindrop is linked in the description, but I will go ahead real quick and actually also post it for you guys in the chat just for your reference. This will stay up long after the show, and you can actually even go and backtrack to other episodes to see the links from other episodes as well. But just for your reference for right now, this is the Raindrop for today. Right there, I try to also put it in order. So we're going to see here for Adobe Premiere 25.6. It's adding smarter search, faster edits, and seamless collaboration. This is an update coming from Kylie Pina. And this is a really interesting update for work efficiencies. This allows you to search audio to be able to find spots. In their example, they say, where's that one bird sound? Sirens, dogs, barkings, or any of 100 of little audio clips buried in your SFX library. It says the new audio search in the search panel has you covered. Just describe what you're looking for, and Premiere will find it across your open projects. Drop it, move on, and keep the mix flowing. But it's not just sound. With Find Similar, you can actually also surface clips that are visually similar in a click. So if you're looking at someone walking through a forest and you want to be able to look through your other footage to find visually similar footage for that edit, you can also click the Find Similar button and it'll be able to pull it up in the search panel straight within Premiere, which is really neat. Also, speaking of audio, they have bleep once, bleep everywhere. Now, if you need to get rid of something, whether it's a curse word, or maybe it's a brand name that you're not allowed to mention, or maybe it's a secret that you want to just kind of have, hidden throughout the video, you can highlight it and you can pick out a censored word to then bleep it across your entire project in your transcript so that you can bleep, mute, or add a sound effect in one pass, which is really neat. They also have connections with Firefly to be able to work in the Firefly web browser, but then push it and automatically have it pop up in Premiere, which is kind of an overarching theme here too, because they also are bringing Frame.io into Premiere, where you can have access to your comments and revisions and notes all within the Premiere panel and the Premiere interface. That way you don't have to hop between Frame.io and Premiere. And then also with the new iPhone app for Premiere, the Premiere on iPhone, you can start an edit on your phone and send it directly over to Premiere on your desktop and then continue working. Other things are like licensing Adobe stock and some editing improvements just as like core functionality. But the thing that really stuck to me is this is really focused on just making life easier, using the tools to be able to speed up your workflow and take out the annoying, tedious parts and not have to focus on the idea of, like, where is that clip? Or like, all right, great, now I have to bleep that out across all 25 minutes of footage. Or wait a second, I knew where that was, and like now I have to find it again. So I'm really excited to see that those improvements are being added to Premiere. It's in Adobe Premiere 25.6. and you can update it in the Creative Cloud app. Oliver says that he sees the Premiere update is back up at 25.6.1. So they might have already patched something already for you. So they're staying on top of it. And also Virgil is saying he was taught that white space as a merit in design, or how a generic placeholder image to fill the white space. Oh, I think that's in reference to the schedule. Also, hello to Ray. Thanks for tuning in from London, England. Hello from Brooklyn, New York. Our next story is also another update to some software, and this is for all our 3D artists out there. Substance 3D Painter is updated to add the ribbon tool with real-world displacement and more. These are a few updates that are being directly integrated into the version. I think it should say it right here. No, I don't even know it has it. But it is talking about how it's adding a ribbon tool, which is cool to be able to paint complex repeating details like stitches or zippers, welds, or even text along curved surfaces and intricate geometry. I am not a profound 3D artist, but this speaks to me a lot in the Illustrator update that came about a year ago. That was like objects along a path, and the idea of like having to stretch something across a path before was very difficult. Now you are able to really make it an easy, fast, uniform approach to be able to kind of have this ribbon tool to then be able to work with zippers. They also have better symmetry controls for fills and effects. This is being able to use real-world effects. Same here with real-world displacement for digital twins and product designs. You can see in this video with the slider, they're able to then scale the unit based off of the physical size in centimeters. So that way you can really focus on something that if you're creating a 3D representation of a physical object in the real world, you can make sure that it is down to the actual measurement in real-world measurements, rather than anything that is then referential onto digital spaces. They also added Vulkan support and Baker API updates, extended Painter with Creative Cloud Desktop plugins, and it just says that it's ready for your next project. These updates are built into modern 3D workflows, helping you deliver your best work faster and easier than ever. Update today through the Creative Cloud Desktop app and start exploring what's new in the Substance 3D Painter. So if you update that one as well, you're good to go, because that was posted yesterday. All right, we're going to move off of Adobe news into just some creative field news. I'd be interested, does anyone here have a Cricut? You know, the Cricut is the machine. It's not just the machine that cuts things out. I think they really rose to prominence because of their cutter, but they have a bunch of different stuff. And Creative Block, Beth Nichols, posted that Black Friday Cricut deals have started with an astonishing price drop. I checked this out because I've used a Cricut before and I really enjoyed it, but I've always kind of talked myself out of it because I'm like, you know, I can use that money on something else. But this case, they're actually dropping one of their machines, I think like $700, and it was one that you can do to actually yeah, it's originally $9.99 and now it's $299, and it's what you can use to bring things over onto like t-shirts or fabric. So you can like make a design and then you can then transfer it over to a different piece of fabric. It is dropped by $700, and it says this heat press isn't for casual crafters. For that, you can use one of the easy press ranges for a more affordable handheld too, but for larger businesses with orders to fill, the auto press does have a lot of heavy lifting for you. And I mean, yeah, now it's only $299. They cut off about $20 for the Cricut the Cricut Maker. They also have the Easy Press Mini, which is the brought down version of the other one that we just talked about. That one's only $50. They brought down the Cricut Joy Extra, the Easy Press, just like across their entire line. There's a bunch of updates. These, I think, are all based in the US. They do have some updates as well over in the UK, so make sure that you check wherever it is. As always, like we like to say on this show, this is not an Adobe endorsement or an Adobe sponsored news story. This is Ryan Selvey finding news articles and sharing them with you. It says Carlotta saying that they have a Cricut, and Yasina is asking if they think it is worth it. And I would also love to hear your thoughts about it. It's one of the things that, I've always, asked about if I could make anything with it, because I don't really sell physical goods, but I'm like, can I justify making this purchase on this thing? Bree is also saying that she has a small commercial size cutter, but not Cricut, but the same. Do you like having it? Also, hello to Mingfang Zhang, who's joining us over on YouTube, and Oliver over on Behance is saying a Ryan endorsement. You know it. And then we are keeping the talk moving with Black Friday. Black Friday sale is happening over on the Motion over on School of Motion, and they are offering up to I believe 25% off absolutely everything with All Access, which is their kind of like on-demand programming where you can go and you can just get everything in their catalog. Apparently on Friday, November 28th, so not quite yet, they said they're having a Black Friday sale. You'll save big while filling your brain with motion design and animation awesomeness. Save 25% on new annual subscriptions to our All Access program, where you get every course we make for one low price with more courses added every month. It's their biggest sale of the year. It goes for about half of a week and has 25% off. And all you have to do is hop onto their link. It's linked in the raindrop for you. And I'd be interested if you guys end up hopping on this. I also know Kendall, if Kendall is here, I don't know if she's here yet. She is a big advocate of School of Motion. She's done a bunch of classes with them. I think she's even taught something through them before and has really liked it. But I'd also be interested to hear if you guys also have ever done School of Motion, if you're interested in School of Motion, because I have worked with a lot of people that have worked with them, but I've never actually taken one of their courses. Thanks again for posting that link again, Cody. Appreciate that. If you guys want the links, you can hop on in there. Keeping the focus on School of Motion, they also announced that they are still accepting applications and submissions for their holiday card. Every single year, they add a prompt and then they give it to the community to be able to build out this holiday card where they all focus on the same theme and then stitch it all together and then kind of disperse it, and they give everyone credit. For this year, it's 3-second animations, and you use the palette that they give you. You can use any software, plugins, or style. It says to go wild. Their theme is New Year, New Blank, and you're supposed to fill in the blank and run with it, whether it's tools, tricks, tacos. They say surprise them, and they've locked the theme and color palette so you can start concepting, but in the spirit of the season, share your project files so the whole community can learn from your build. Very pretty colors, very warm with 2 little cold tones. You can register and you can submit your work. You can even check out their previous years where they have a bunch of different stuff. And it's just a really great way to be able to animate and work with other people. You always get the credit on the bottom side. It's always fun to see, and I always find a few new people to follow, like on Instagram, every single year. Then they do these, and the skill level is full spectrum. So even if you're new to motion or if you're a veteran, there's a place for you in the creative. Keys is asking who Kendall is. Kendall, I mean, Zonafly. I never know what to go off of, full names, or if I go off of the names that people use sometimes on Behance or on YouTube. Going back to Cricut very momentarily, we do have a comment from Bree saying that they use there all the time for hoodies, shirts, and all that they do, and they like having it to play with it, which, yeah, I feel like that's what I would end up doing. But I also don't like, collage as much as I would like to, but maybe I would collage more if I had one. I don't know. Also, you guys know that right here, I'm looking down at a Wacom Cintiq that I've had since like 2011, 2012. I think it's a 22 HD, and it's just a monitor that I can also draw on. It is where the screen share you guys see is what I look at with my Cintiq. But in recent conventions and places that I've been, I've played with some Xencelabs stuff, and they are a rival to Wacom. They have their own tablet, and they have a Draw This in Your Style holiday contest where you get to draw this, and the winner of it is actually gifted a new Xencelabs tablet. You can find out all the details on the link that is linked to the Instagram. You can see here that it says that the Premier Prize gets a pen tablet medium bundle, which has 2 pens and a quick keys of remote, as well as the tablet. The rules are you have to create your own version of the drawing from this post and upload it to use the hashtag Xencelabs Spatio. And you have to follow Xencelabs, and you also have to follow Gaston, who is the creator of the original thing. And then you leave a comment on this post. It seems like a pretty cool tablet from what I can gather. Like I said, I've played with them only pretty much on convention floors before, but I've heard that they do rival current tablets. And so while I have not played with it extensively to work on it like a full project, in the few times that I have played with it, it's like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. And you can see they can be really big too, which is really nice. It has a paper-like texture on the monitor surface, so I know that's something that some people really are adamant about, and they actually get covers on top of their screen so that it feels more like paper, and this makes it so that it actually feels like paper the whole way through, right from the get-go, and you don't have to do it. All right, then let's talk a little bit about some industry stuff. We do have a few AI stuff here, so if AI is not your vibe, please don't leave. Just go grab a coffee, and we'll be done with it in like 3 minutes. We have Hugging Face CEO addressing the idea of an LLM bubble, which you might be like, wait, what do you mean an LLM bubble? Everyone's talking about an AI bubble. There's a lot of conversations going on about AI, the valuations, the infrastructure, the investment. And some people are saying it's totally warranted. Some people are saying it's totally bubble. Some people are somewhere in the between. The CEO of Hugging Face, which is an AI company, is saying that we're not actually in an LLM bubble, which stands for Large Language Model bubble. That is what we're actually focused in. We're not in an AI bubble. So a lot of these tools and a lot of the advancements that we recently have seen in recent years are because of this idea of large language models. And he's basically saying that it is going to pop and some things will go down with it. But overall, the idea of artificial intelligence and its application to biology, chemistry, image, audio, and video audio and video, and image being the connections that Adobe is in, is actually going to be something that is going to persevere and still be around in the same way that like .com bubble burst, and we still have very heavy reliance on the internet. As with all things, it's uncertain and we're not sure. And I just thought it was interesting to see someone be like, okay, it's not the whole thing, it's just this approach. But what do you guys think? Would love to hear, because I have another story for you directly after that, which was yesterday. Google launched Gemini 3 with state-of-the-art reasoning, generative UI for responses, and more. If you're not familiar, Gemini is the AI model for Google. It is the one that's actually behind Nano Banana, which is the one that took the internet by storm a month or so ago with the idea of being able to create responsive image. Gemini was the model that powered Nano Banana and created really effective image edits. And it was actually even implemented into Photoshop, which was cool. And that way you could even like X out someone's face and you could see like get rid of this person in this photo, and it would know what to do and it would move things around. But it seems like the big updates here is that it is kind of improving the quality of life. It is improving its language so that it doesn't feel and sound like AI slop. It's doing better with reasoning. That's what they're really focusing on, to be able to grasp depth and nuance, like perceiving the subtle clues in a creative idea or peeling apart the overlapping layers of a difficult problem. This is coming from Abner Lee for 9 to 5 Google. There's a bunch of benchmarks. I'm not going to go through them because I have a feeling that none of us fully understand what any of these mean. But it then also has some generative UI, which makes possible for generative interfaces where large language models generate both content and entire user experiences. So this includes web pages, games, tools, and other applications that are automatically designed and fully customized in response to any question, instruction, or prompt. I saw somebody online already made like a Lego building simulator through it. And then visual layout is the second experiment and creates an immersive magazine-style view complete with photos and modules. The main difference to dynamic view is how Gemini will generate sliders, checkboxes, and other filters that let you customize the results further. So it's more of this back and forth. You can switch between default mode and thinking mode. Something that people are really excited about is anti-gravity. It is a new agentic development platform that allows developers to operate at a higher task-oriented level. So in the same way that at Max, they were implementing creative agents, this is something that was working with a lot of coders. And it sees agents work across the editor, terminal, and browser. And it is now available on Mac, Windows, and Linux. It uses Gemini 3 and, of course, Nano Banana. So that's pretty crazy. It's a good old I want to say rat race. I want to say like a Kentucky Derby. I feel like, of all these updates every single week. And so maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed. Maybe it's hard to focus. That's what we're going to talk about. Hank Green's Focus Friend. It's Google Play's App of the Year. I don't know if we ever mentioned this on stream. I know I meant to, but I don't know if we ever did. Did we ever mention this? Has anyone here used this, by the way? Has anyone used Focus Friend? I have. It's very fun. It is Hank Green. He's a very famous YouTuber, and he is the creator of this new app that came out this year, where it's this little bean, and with the bean, you tell it you want to focus and not use your phone. If you say, okay, I want to focus for 30 minutes, it will then make it so it like locks your phone, and he works on knitting stuff, or she or they. The bean will work on knitting and creating furniture and decorations, and if you pick up your phone, it will stop it. But then if you let it happen, then at the end you get these cute little rewards, and you're able to decorate your space. And it's supposed to encourage you to stay focused and to not doom scroll and pick up your phone and be distracted. And it was just a really simple way to be able to focus timer, but add some personality to it. Apparently with the Google Play's App Awards of the Year, it won the App of the Year. It also won, I think, the most for fun. And there's a full list of all the winners on TechCrunch, and that comes from Sarah Perez, one of my favorite writers. She always has great articles for this show and just in general. So make sure you check her out. And then our last news story of the day, before we hop on to our another news segments, is Threads is making an update. Threads is the text-based platform from Meta, just like Twitter or X, or just like Blue Sky. And what they're doing is they're actually changing updates to make podcasts more approachable within the app. They said if you have a podcast, they want to hear it and hear about it. They're testing podcast previews to make it easy for fans of your threads to find your show. So if you post it, not only is it just going to link out, it is also going to be able to also be embedded into the actual format of the app, and you're able to quickly access it to be able to make threads a location for podcast. This is like quote unquote a podcast. I haven't been adding the videos to podcast thread, or I guess like the Spotify distribution, but maybe I should do again. If anyone accesses the show through podcast, please let me know. Leave a comment or comment now in the live chat, and I'll be sure to make sure that I still update it that way. But as of right now, it is just kind of on YouTube as replays, but we'll see. Catching up on the chat for you guys. Reverb Mike says, I don't need a bean to focus. Lisa also says an amazing idea for it. Oliver says that the code name for Gemini 3 was Rift Runner. Ooh, that is funny. I did not know that. It's always funny when all these ones come out with code names, and sometimes they keep them, other times they don't. I feel like with Nano Banana, that had to be just like a code name that just stuck, and I was surprised it stuck. But here we are now talking about bananas. And Keys is saying that he's growing more indifference with each new AI application. And yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to be overwhelmed. I tend to really like all the AI tools that I use, like generative fill. I'm really excited about being able to rename my layers. I tend to use things for like writing up different summaries to be able to break down a summary to be able to get a higher thinking and idea of it. But I tend to use the tools that are going to help me enhance my workflow rather than replace my workflow. Professor Cannon is also saying there's a brick product as well that can help take the phone away from you. Yes, I have a friend that has that brick, and he has it on his fridge. And as he leaves his house every single day, he taps it, and then he doesn't have access to like his Instagram, which is crazy, totally crazy. Those are the news stories we have, but let's hop into Spotlight before we hop into our font of the week. So without further ado, Spotlight. This one's part Spotlight, part hyperlink, and it's from Visual Rambling. It's all about dithering. Have you guys ever heard about dithering before? If you haven't heard about dithering, you've definitely experienced dithering before. It's kind of a like digital aesthetic that we've all gotten used to, especially in the 90s and early 2000s. It's all about how you can take a black and white image and give the illusion of gray, because gray is kind of represented by the separation of black and white in white spaces. You can see here on this website, it's beautifully animated, that you can click through, and I'm going to look at the first few ones, and then I want to make sure he gets plenty of page views for this, and also I don't want to take up the whole stream with it, but it says, I've always been fascinated by the dithering effect. It has a unique charm that I find so appealing. I was even more amazed when I learned how dithering works. Look closely, and you see this animation is made up of alternating black and white pixels. But these black and white pixels are specifically arranged to create the illusion of multiple shades. That's what dithering does. It simulates more color variations than what are actually used. Here, it uses black and white to give the impression of multiple gray shades. To me, dithering is about creating the most out of what we have and what amazes me the most. It inspires me to learn more about it, and now I want to share what I've learned. Please note that this is just part 1 of 3, so I'll only scratch the surface here. I'll go deeper in the next parts, which will come soon. Stay tuned. First, let's explore the dithering basics using this grayscale image as an example. Does this really cool like switch thing where it breaks out and shows you the white and the black. A grayscale image has various gray shapes from black to white, and if you were able to only take black and white and you divide it to making it things only white or only black, you really lose a lot of the stuff in the middle here. It says that one way is to map each pixel to the closest available color, and darker than medium gray turn black and lighter turns white, but then you lose a lot because then it turns the image into kind of unrecognizable. So what it does instead is it creates this area where it then begins to take things that are lighter gray and add parts of black and parts of white and vice versa. And what you do instead is you get this dithering effect, which then allows you to be able to break it up and kind of show that there is grays, and then you can get the full idea of the picture. Very interesting. Love the animations. I'm going to cycle through. He even has ways of like showing you how the computer is reading it and turning it into a pattern. Talks into other ways dithering can be used where things get more complex. But it's fun. Little watch, little read. And just in general, you should check out Visual Rambling Space. It's a collection of a bunch of different visually explained, more complex topics. Tracing the K-pop wave, or is La La Land's ending hopeful or despairing? Moving objects in 3D space, among others. I don't know if I have access to his name. I definitely had it, but I forget. He says it towards the end of the thing, so please check it out. It's just visualrambling.space. Winter saying that the brick thing is crazy to show things go through. Miss Melanie saying please like this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm, which I appreciate it. Professor Cannon says we used to call this the dot matrix. Yes, which I think is another way of people talking about it. Oliver is saying two colors for the win. Keys had a green and black screen at one point, which is awesome and also very matrixy of you. Oliver says that those of us who are old enough to remember when computers only had 256 or 16 colors are all too familiar with dithering. And it's interesting because dithering also comes back in style, and there's now an aesthetic in its own, even though it's not an aesthetic. It's just a technology and a solution for things that are harder. I'm more surprised also that dithering wasn't really used a lot in newspapers. It is to an extent, but I mean, I guess that also coincides with the idea of computers being readily accessible, and then we have more digital media, and so at that point, they're kind of focused on colored ink. But whenever you hear the word dither, that's what you got. And now, 30 minutes into the show, we're going to have our most popular segment of the show, and that's Font of the Week. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here for the first time. Every single week, we do Font of the Week, which is a look into the font selection of Adobe fonts. It's included in your Adobe. Adobe Fonts is included in your subscription, so you have access to all the fonts that are on Adobe Fonts. We pick 3 at random and also with some selection, and then we look through their use cases, their classification, and we then vote on which one the chat thinks is the best for the week. Before we hop into the contenders for this week, I do want to give a quick shout out to PR in the Discord server. The Discord server is the Adobe Live Discord server. We have our own channel here for File New where I post links throughout the week as well. But based off of last week's Font of the Week, they went ahead and they made a different image for each of the 3 contenders and put them all together, which I loved seeing because they also really reflected kind of the approach and the use case for each one. You have an office one, you have a comic book one, and then you also kind of have this new wavy one with lots of colors. And I don't know, I was so excited to see that. So thank you for doing that. Also, make sure you guys hop into the Discord server. I update with different cool links of things I don't even mention, like this AI's dial-up era. We didn't talk about this. Logo.dev, we will be talking a little bit. Also link out to other really cool breakdowns too, like Motion Mondays, which is another news creative show that happens every Monday, and they post on it through School of Motion. So that link is also in the description, so join it. I'm trying to make it work so that adobelivediscord.com gets you there, but sometimes it doesn't work. So let me know if adobelivediscord.com works to bring you to the Discord. But all right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create the poll. The poll is always over on YouTube, and it is available starting right at the beginning of our segment. But with that said, I do always suggest to not vote right away because guess what? You might change your mind. And I think you can switch your vote, but that's extra clicks for you. And so I'm going to put it up. This week we have Gyst, Zuume Edge, and New Reason, and they're all coming to us from different foundries, and we like to explore what they look like. So our very first one is Gyst Variable. It comes to us from Roland Horman from the Phosphor foundry. It is a sans serif, as you can see, but it has neo-humanist values with variable font capabilities. It bridges both text and display usage. Now, variable fonts are a feature of font that is relatively newer, and it allows you to scale between variables of weight rather than just having like, this is bold, this is regular. So you can see here they have some preset styles, but what you can do here is you can scroll between 100 and 700, and you can get the exact amount of weight that you want for this typeface. They have just light and also italic, so it can be straight up and down, or not. I really like the weight distribution on things like the G or the D here. Also with the A, I like how much there is a variance in weight for you. It is grotesque and antiqua serif forms in a sans serif structure. Like I said, it's defined as neo-humanist, and it blends the principles of grotesque and antiqua. The forms appear designed to be usable across a range of sizes with alternate characters and ligatures, and is probably best for body text if you want to have text that's kind of big enough to really work with the thins. I mean, I want to go super, super tiny, but I think it's still possible. And then also, obviously, with larger displays and larger headlines, you can really use it as a header. We're going to go ahead and write out file new. You can see that the top of the F is super funky. I love the N. The W also reflects that kind of overshoot of the N, which is nice. We can see here that in Photoshop, you don't have full variable, but in Illustrator, you would be able to. We can make it really bold if we want to, or we can go to light. You can see here that there's these little check marks under here. That means that there's an alternate for that selection. If you right click, you can say show alternates for suggestion, and then you can also switch between them. In this case, I'm not sure what is so different between these two, but it's saying that we have it. Just for Jacob Paris, we always like to see if we can do our math homework. We have a lot of different fractions, which is nice. And we also have, yes, we have the division symbol. So you can do your math homework with it. It has some great glyphs, but it doesn't necessarily have anything that's super additive outside of some numbers with circles around it, which are definitely helpful. But you're not going to get any like bunny glyphs or anything else. It does have plenty of support for other languages and accents, so if you need to do something besides just English, you can definitely explore to see if it supports the language needs that you need. Like, what is this called? Somebody in chat's going to know what it's called. What's with the squiggly line above the N? It's used in Spanish. What's that called? Extra points for whoever does it. And yeah, that is Gyst, and that's the gist of Gyst. Rick says, I missed half the show. Can you start over? Well, the good thing, Rick, welcome to the chat. We have not gotten to your submission for the week yet, so don't worry. We haven't gotten there yet. Oliver says AdobeLiveDiscord.com works for him, which is great. Thank you for putting the poll in Behance for me, Cody. And Oliver says, I like Gyst. So I would love to hear what you guys what you guys say. Also, Steven is in the chat saying, what is the difference between dithering and bitmapping? I think with dithering, it works with the patterns, right? So it's like it's creating fake extra colors by scattering the pixels and kind of like a pattern, whereas dithering is just switching to, it's like it's not as a pattern, right? It's like it has very, very crisp edges where it's like going to be jagged and all over the place. And I think bitmapping is more for print and dithering is more for screens. I'll have to get back to you on it, but I'm pretty sure that is the difference. Don't quote me on that. Unless it's right, then please do. Back to font of the week, we have Zuume, which is designed by Adam Ladd, and he has his own foundry for Adam Ladd. It is a sans serif display, but it is also variable, and it has these cool edge cuts. You can see that in the E's here, it cuts in the D and what have you. So it has a very fast feeling to it, especially when used in this high impact condensed italic form. It is strong, mechanical, and assertive. It has tight spacing and is aggressive and angular. It has the cut variant, as we just said, with additional slice out segments for even more movement and visual tensions. It includes multiple static weights, and it is best for headlines, branding, packaging, editorial display that needs punchy energy and a modern, bold voice. So if we go in here, we can type out file new. It's going to look all capitalized no matter what. You can see I can put a capital I or a lowercase I, capital L, lowercase l. It's all pretty much going to be the same. So if we do that, I personally really like the cut version, especially if, oh, is it not here? Maybe I have to put Edge here with the cut version. Edge light, Edge bold, Edge black. Oh, how do we get to the cut version? Because I definitely played with it. Maybe it was in Illustrator. But it's given some Futura vibes. That's for certain. We have bunch of support for, ooh, look at these cool fractions. That's nice. Although it kind of reads as 15, right? It has the number sign. It has this for underlined different things that kind of go right into your words, from like by, do, for, from, in, is, it, just, more, new, now, of, the, this, to, with, your. And so that's, you don't normally see that, which is kind of cool. So file this new, and it's very strong and it's very loud, and it's pretty cool. File to new, high impact. Check it out. And I know I'm taking a lot of time on Font of the Week this week, so I'm going to try to speed this up. We've got New Reason, and this is designed by Miles Newley from Newlin, and it is a sans serif grotesque revival for both text and display. It's more text capable than many display only grotesques. You can see here, we'll write out file new. It's very wide. It's a wide boy. But I like how wide the F and the N's are, especially with the capitals. If you do all uppercase, it really will do it out. But then you get weird things like this F that kind of looks like a bishop's cane or something like that, which was the reason actually why I initially chose it, because I saw it over here. Also, look at this Q, little curly Q. It has division, it has symbols, it has arrows. We love arrows, which I always like to put in between the file and the new. And it has 5 weights. It has light, regular, medium, semi-bold, and bold, and 2 character sets, 1 optimized for headings, 1 for text, and supports multiple Latin languages. Great for body text. You can also use it for header text, probably magazines, social posts, print design, any and all above, which is all really great. So I'm going to let this hold up for just a few more. We'll keep the thing open. If you guys need to look back at it later in the episode in the next 10 minutes, please let me know. We've got plenty to go through, so I will happily show it again if we need it. Looks like right now the winner of, in this moment, but not the winner of the week, is Gyst. So if you disagree with that, make sure you hop over to YouTube and you update that as soon as possible. Then let's hop on over to our next segment, which is Rebrand. So the Rebrand is the segment of the show where we look into different brand updates and brand changes. This happened a few months ago. Apparently Grammarly is acquiring Superhuman, which is like this AI productivity email assistant, and they're changing their whole thing to just become Superhuman. The acquisition itself is interesting because like immediately when you say Grammarly, I have an idea of what you're doing. Whereas when you say Superhuman, I don't necessarily know what that means. But over on Design Week, we have a article by Ritu Priya Basu, that talks about the 3 companies coming together. Superhuman needed one unified identity. A scalable superhero turned out to be the perfect anchor. And the thing that really stood out to me is if you scroll down through this article, is that they use this character that they have incorporated into their branding as a means to unify all of their UI and their experiences, and they animate it with motion design to get that point across. So for writing, you can see that it moves across several different dots. For thinking, it bounces up and down. For voice, it turns into kind of a waveform, and with attention, it's able to turn into an arrow. which is good because this hero, which they're saying is letter A, it also has a cape. It also is a letter I. It can be a cursor. For me, it initially read as a navigational point, which I don't think is anything that they offer, which I think has a little bit of confusion. But once you're in the ecosystem and you understand what it is, I think it can be strong. I just mostly was excited about being able to use motion to add variance to something that is so like center to a brand. So this is their hero. It's not necessarily a character, but it is something that they are going to use a lot throughout their UI and their branding. And cool that they can animate it to then update what they're doing. They also updated things like their typefaces and what they're working on, their visual look and everything. So you can read the full write-up over on designweek.co.uk. It's linked in the raindrop. Speaking of mascots, though, you guys know Firefox, right? Firefox hasn't released a full brand update about it. It's kind of more just like this cute teaser called Kit. And they said that Firefox brand is getting a refresh, and you get the first look. Kit is their new mascot and your new companion through an internet that's private, open, and actually yours. There's a really cute animation to it. It pops up and like looks around and smiles. His eyes pop up. They're starting to implement it into, I guess, like the background of the new tab. They're also starting to have some cool like gear for this cute little fox, being able to change the length and the buoyancy of the tail. I'm interested to see where it goes. Mozilla has some really interesting rebrands over the years. They also just have like this really bit-based logo for their organization, which is now separate, obviously, from Firefox. But I'm interested to see where this rebrand goes, and it's kind of just a teaser. But I always love to see mascots and characters, so interested to see how much they lean into it. Reverb Mike says, I want a meatball hero with extra pickles, Foxy. And Key says, wow, I wrote about this to Ryan. He read the mail. Imagine that, right? Imagine that. And then speaking of people submitting things, Rick sent this over to me. We're definitely not able to watch it throughout because it is 30 minutes. And also it is laden, obviously, with copyright. But it's really interesting going over the rock era of everyone having logos and how they were created, how they were dispersed, where they were read, when some of them didn't even appear on album covers. And it breaks down each and every one. You can see they have Queen, they have Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, and it's a really cool history lesson. It's 30 minutes, so if you watch TV while you're eating dinner, that's when we watched it. And it's a really good episode of just something to check out and fun if you want to explore the branding of something that doesn't feel as corporate as kind of rock bands, right? Alyssa says that her favorite segment of the week is Rebrand. So glad to hear we have some variants and different favorites. Let me know what your guys' favorite is. Yasina saying that this is the kind of rebrand I like. It's subtle yet different, almost like an upgrade instead of a transformation. Yes, and I think we talked about this maybe a week or two ago with this update of like, what is a rebrand, what is a refresh? There are two different approaches to it. Rebrand can totally reinvent the wheel, whereas refresh can be a kind of just subtle update in the idea of like Firefox being able to refresh it and be able to add energy and a new flavor to it without changing everything totally outright. We only got a little bit more time. I want to make it worth your guys' time. So I'm going to roll through some resources that you guys can add to your workflow or just have in your back pocket. This one is Logo.dev. I know I teased it a little bit earlier. It is a site where you can access an API. You can either pay for the API, that way you can then implement it into your products, or if you're someone like me who's just a designer, it can be a place to access hundreds of millions of logos for whatever you're working on. And they have it sometimes as PNG, other times as AI, as in like Adobe Illustrator or EPS, not artificial intelligence. But you see, if you just go to Logo.dev, you can then explore all different ones. You know, they have the one for Slack, Pepto-Bismol, Starbucks. So if we can go, we can even go to try it out, and we can say something. Let's see if they have Chipotle. I didn't actually even try this. Yes. So it's able to pull Chipotle. You can then also get it, in this case, it's a WebP at 128. and fallback is monogram. But it gives you full kind of control for it. Obviously, if you're going to be doing any official work, you're going to want to be able to check out the rights and use cases of the company itself. But it does just a really good job at being able to pull the thing that is linked on its own website, and it can find the logos really quick. As far as pricing goes, like I said, you can get it for free. You can do a startup or a pro. And this is kind of what I have. If you go to your dashboard, you can then kind of pull it out, and then you can pick out logo images and work from there. Our next resource, we're flying through them, is Overlord. It is a very powerful extension that I've used in Illustrator for a long time to push things from shapes over to After Effects so that you can then animate them in After Effects. They recently just updated to version 2 and now support Photoshop. And you might say, well, why do you need Photoshop? You can already just drag and drop a Photoshop file into it. Yes, but it actually keeps updates with things like text layers, and it turns like clipping masks into track mats. So when you then move things over, you don't have to kind of reinvent it or recreate it. You can just push it right over. It's $75. It comes to you from Battle Axe, which is really cool. Then we have Secret to Creating. This is off the Adobe Express blog. It says secret creating content people want to share. Get the most out of your social content with the help from Adobe Express. And it breaks down a bunch of different things, but what they actually link to, and I had never seen before, is this official document from Instagram that talks about sharing motivations. It has the gift, the mirror, the idea, the gossip, and the mood. So somebody who says, this is your kind of thing, so they share it to someone else. Oh my God, this is so us, which is the mirror, which send to someone else. We should do this, send to someone else. Have you seen this? Send to somebody else. And feel me on this? Send to someone else. So these are ways that if you want to create something that is shared a lot, these are things that you can kind of bucket them. And if you can properly bucket them into one thing and you're able to then lean on it, then you can then achieve your idea for sharing. Not everything is made for sharing, you know. Maybe sharing isn't the goal of whatever you're posting, but it is important to know that if you're doing social strategy and you want something to be shared, you should be able to hopefully bucket into these 5 things. And then our last resource and our last update for the day before we then crown a winner for our font of the week is this website called Branding Style Guides. If you've ever worked in branding, agency life, anything in the above, you've probably seen a brand guideline book at some point. Every company has it. It keeps everybody on the same page. And a lot of times they're only internal, but then sometimes they post things online. So this is a collection of downloadable branding guidelines that you can use for your inspiration or reference, whether you're working with a brand and you need their guidelines, or you're trying to make your own brand, or you just want to see how other people do it, or you want to, like, let's say you're working on a brand guideline, you're like, I want to make sure this is professional and it has everything. You can then go over there. They have it A to Z. They have years of publication. They have languages, sides, regions, tags, all available for your luck. So now that we only have like 2 minutes left, let's go back over to our font of the week. I will let you guys vote for like 30 more seconds before we end up doing it. And as we do that, I will go ahead and make sure I am all caught up on the chat that I just blew through because I knew that I had to get through the rest of my stories. Apparently there's a thing called Shark Keys, and it's better than Chipotle, which I've never heard of Shark Keys before. Alessandra got stuck in a meeting, but sure, it was a great stream. I hope you can check out the replay. Reverb Mike always feels sorry for the cows, but you gotta otherwise to get lost. You're making a branding joke about branding cows. All right. Okay. I see you. Yasina is giving me a face palm. Professor Cannon is saying the site is great to see how others do it. Miss Melanie says, as a pizza lover, Shakey's Pizza has rebranded their logo. Ooh, okay. We'll definitely have to check that out. Is that different from Sharky's? Or that just like a weird coincidence that happened? But yeah, all right. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to end it. And the winner of this week goes to, with no real surprise here, Gyst. Everyone really likes Gyst. It's a very, very strong selection, I believe. Has lots of variants, has lots of things that you can mess around with. I like the italics too. It kind of brings this kick up in both the I and like the W. It adds a little extra flavor to it. This one, along with all the other ones, will be added to the Hall of Fame. So you can see I could do it right now in this moment. If we just go to Gyst, I'm going to go ahead and put Font of the Week. This is where we put all of our winners, last 19 or so. And you can have a nice selection of all the ones that the chat has voted on for Font of the Week. As I said before, we have some other scheduling coming up right after this. So we'll be going over to Design Sprint Sports Design with Steven Overturf right after this, followed by Edit Like a Pro, which is a video editing one. And then tomorrow we have full day of in-studio streams to check out. So make sure you check it out. I will be back again this time next week on the day before Thanksgiving. Thank you to everyone who joined in. Thank you, Katie, for being here. Nice to see you. Which is the sister of Allie, who used to be on File now. And thank you to Wade and Cody for being here as mods. Thank you guys for all your wonderful comments. I hope to see you all over in the Discord, and I'll see you over in Twitch. You know how it goes. All right. See you guys over in just a little bit. Thank you so much. Bye.